Thank you, Annie. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good to see you all here this morning, and I hope you're feeling well and enjoying this Labor Day holiday weekend. So little Johnny, his mother would take him to church every Sunday, and every time the doors were open, she'd take little Johnny to church. And little Johnny was bored out of his mind. So during the services, he would just start counting whatever could be counted. He'd count the pictures on the wall. He'd count the tiles on the ceiling. He'd count the pews. Whatever could be counted, he'd count that to counteract the boredom. Well, one Sunday morning, his mama took him to church. There was a plaque up on the wall that wasn't there before. He said, "Mama, what's that plaque for?" She said, "Well, Johnny, that's for the men who died in service." He said, "Mama, did they die in the morning service or the evening service?" So I hope nobody's counting the pictures on the wall this morning. It's good to see all of you. Do we have any visitors here for the first time who will feel comfortable introducing themselves to us this morning? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Nancy McDowell. I live in Green Creek.
I believe it. Nancy McDowell, I live in Green Creek, and I like this idea. Okay?
I'm Nance Wolf, her embarrassing friend. Makes me want to go, feelings of all my life are for you, do a bar act right here. But anyway, I wanted to find a church that didn't scream at me about hell and didn't make me vote the way I don't want to vote. And I knew Unitarians were open-minded, and I was looking for that up here. It's hard to find. So we're just super happy that this is here and that we can come here and be a part of this. And I see bright, beautiful faces here that I can't wait to meet. And we came here to meet people too that had open minds. So thank you for welcoming us and letting us come to your church.
So Nancy and Nan, and just a reminder, in light of what you just said, we have refreshments afterwards, and we have the visitation time over here after the service. If you please stay and join us if you'd like to.
Okay.
Chat and get to know people. Any other visitors? Yes.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm from Texas, but I'm currently in Mill Spring, North Carolina. And yeah, I haven't been to. My sister goes to a UU church in Austin, Texas, but I haven't really gone to church except for a interfaith church service in Texas. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I knew it was a good sign when I saw Harris Wall's bumper sticker in the parking lot.
I'd be curious to know how you guys found out about us.
We're David. His old friend.
David Droney is our great friend.
The Google
Google,
business.
okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch your name again.
Ben.
Ben, okay. Ben, good to have you. Somebody told us up in Brevard, you can always tell the UU church because there are all these Priuses parked outside. All right. Are there any announcements? Yes, Don.
Rob McClaskey celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yay!
Let's sing to Rob and embarrass him. Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rob. Happy birthday.
We're all 39 in this stuff.
Yeah, that's right, 39.
Or under.
Thank you, thank
Or
you.
under.
Congratulations. Any other announcements? Just a quick announcement about the men's group that meets at Derek's home in Tryon, 10 o'clock this Tuesday morning. If any of you men are interested who haven't been, you can find out where Derek lives and come on and join us. We just sort of have a kind of anything goes discussion. We try to avoid politics, but last week we got a little involved in politics. It's hard not to. I mean, I know that's really heavy on people's hearts and minds these days, and they need to talk about it. And I think we avoided bashing. We didn't do any bashing. We just tried to talk rational sense about the political situation, but we don't always do talk. We don't talk politics. We try to talk other things. But anyway, Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock. Any other announcements? Okay, if there are no other announcements, would you join with me in the call to worship? It's a responsive reading this morning, and does everyone have a hymnal then? Can someone get their hymnal? Everyone have a hymnal. It's reading number 439. The title is We Gather in Reverence. Now Thomas doesn't have a hymnal.
I have some.
He knows reading by heart. So reading number 439 is our call to worship. The title is We Gather in Reverence. We gather in reverence before the wonder of life.
The wonder of this moment.
The wonder of being together so close yet so apart.
Each hidden in our own secret chamber.
Each listening, each trying to speak.
Yet none fully understanding, none fully understood.
We gather in reverence before all intangible things that eyes see not, nor ears can detect.
And hands never touch, that space cannot hold, and time cannot measure.
Thank you. Let's light our chalice this morning. Oh, let's do that. I'm sorry, Bob. Let's do the hymn first. 318. Number 318.
share a great awe and respect for Joseph Campbell with Ernie. So I thought I would share one of his favorite quotes. If you've ever read The Power of Myth, it kind of goes into what Ernie will be sharing today. And I say the shorter the quote, the more thought is put into it, like a haiku. So this is a Hindu scripture. Truth is one. The sages call it by many names. And I know you feel cheated if I don't read another one, so. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We are caught in an escapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny."
Thank you, Bob. Okay.
First time for everything.
Join with me if you would, please. We light this chalice with the light of truth.
We light this chalice with the warmth of love. We light this chalice with energy action. We light this chalice with the harmony of peace.
Thank you. I want to make sure I'm following the order here. I forgot to thank someone during announcements. I wanted to thank Jim for his message last time we all met. His wonderful message about his journey into Unitarian Universalism. Thank you, Jim. And I felt like that really came from my heart. And, we appreciate it. I know the congregation does. Let's share a moment of silence. And I'll close it with some thoughts. And whether you pray or send positive energy, you will be welcome to do that. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose. We turn our minds and hearts toward one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, and to care. If you would join with me, please. We rejoice together and we grieve together as one. Help us to remember that all human hearts holds own joys and sorrows. Let's continue our service with our offerings. And we're going to sing For the Beauty of the Earth. And you're welcome to sing along with us. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the sky, for the love which fills our earth, over and around the sky. Source of all to thee we raise this Thank you. If you would turn with me into your hymnals, turn with me in your hymnals, about 7 pages in. They're not numbered, so you have to count them. And you'll find our principles and sources. And we're going through, for those of you who are visiting, we're journeying through our sources. And so on that page, you'll see, up at the top, you'll see we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote. You have our principles down below that, you have our sources. And we are going to work on source number 3, which says, wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. So does everyone see that source? There are 6 sources in all. And when you think of source, think of, that source from which you draw your spiritual strength. And it can be any number of those sources that are listed there, or it can be something that's not listed there. Because I know a lot of people draw their spiritual strength and source from nature. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about nature this morning in this topic. So anyway, just think about, what feeds your spiritual life as we journey through these sources. And I wanted to pick this reading from the Native American tradition from Black Elk. This is reading number 614, because Black Elk says something in there that we've heard, in Robin's chalice lighting, we've heard something about that. And I'll point to it if you don't see it. The reading is called the Sacred Hoop, and it's from the Native American Indian Black Elk. And so we'll read it together because it's a responsive reading. Number 614. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all.
And around beneath me was the whole loop of the world.
And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell.
And I understood more than I saw.
For I was seeing in the sacred manner the shape of all things of the Spirit.
And the shapes that they must live together in one unity.
And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one among many hoops that make one circle wide as daylight and starlight.
In the center grew one mighty flowering tree,
to shelter all the children of one mother and one father.
and I saw that it was holy.
Just to take a few moments, would any of you all like to react? Anyone out there would like to react to what was in that reading? I mean, don't take over my sermon. I hate to call it a sermon. Take over my talk. But anyone have anything in that reading that really struck you, that really made an impression?
One mother
One mother.
and
Mother,
one father.
Yes.
Yes, that was unique.
That's good. Anything that really impacted you? Yes, Rob.
The hoops, one hoop and then many hoops. It was a very inclusive for a Native American indigenous
Yeah.
thought.
Did everyone hear what Rob said? The hoop, the idea of one hoop. I mean, that's why I chose this reading, because of what Rob was talking about, the recognition that we have our hoop, our circle, but there are many other circles. It's the recognition that we are one. We have one way of seeing the world, but there are many other ways of seeing the world. And so a recognition of this notion of the oneness of our universe. That's why I chose that reading. But does anybody else have anything that, before we leave it, the idea of the sacred hoop?
And I saw that it was holy.
I saw that it was holy. Yeah. Thank you, Gene. That's a good one. holy. Yes, Dan?
Well, I feel like nature is playing such a huge presence in that, especially with the Native American Indians, and that nature is such a teacher of the universe, and that there is no prejudice in nature. There is just nature as it is, nature that gets along with everything. And it's a teacher.
Yeah. That's good. I like the line, the second line too, there are things that I can't tell. You know, just sometimes you have an experience, it kind of goes beyond words. You can't really describe it to someone else. Anyway, thank you all for your, oh, yes, Andy.
I miss the inclusiveness of the world and had to relegate this reading to this person's experience, which was within his own experience. And to me, this only goes so far.
I think I follow you. I'm not real sure I do, but I'll go so far. Sally has something, and then Derek. Sally?
I love the feeling of interconnectedness, and I was so happy to read that the line, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree that sheltered all.
Tree of life, yes.
Well, Ernie referenced that line more than I can tell, and I jumped on that right away because that's a clear sign of a mystical experience. And that's what this is partly about. And mystics, if they're genuine mystics, will say, I had this experience, but I can't talk about it. I can't put it into the words of our normal life. That word is ineffable, meaning that it cannot be discussed in normal human language. That's what he's talking about here. And that's why I always say the mystic sells his services to you, go buy it. Because a real mystic can't talk about the experience that he or she had.
Well, I'm not a mystic, so I'm going to talk. I got you. I got you. I'm with you. Yeah. You know, a good sermon, I guess, would be if I just got up here and kept my mouth shut. Oh, thank you all for your sharing. Sally asked me before the service, she said, I hope you're going to tell us about your vacation. My wife and I had a week together by ourselves after 2 years down at the beach, and we had a great time. And I know you can't see this video from where you're sitting, but it's turtles being born. And we saw them on the beach, and they're, you know, you can't see that, I know. It was nice to see that, though. Little baby turtles making their way. We were told by someone there that 1 in 1,000 make it, you know. Anyway.
What beach was it?
Sunset Beach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so we got back home, and then our grandson who we're raising, most of you know that, we're raising our 9-year-old grandson because his mother died. And his father is suffering from substance abuse, but he came home after his vacation to the beach with 2 hermit crabs. In a little teeny cage, you know, about like that. And I said, well, Ryan, you know, we get time, we'll build a little bigger cage, you know, so they can screw around a little bit more. Anyway, he got them out the other night and had them on the outside table, and he was letting them crawl around the table, and he forgot to put them back in the cage. And so the next morning I said, Ryan, you better get those crabs out of the sun. I mean, the sun's going to come. They left it out overnight. And he goes to look at it and says, and the top is on it. He says, Papa, they're gone. And I said, well, we looked all over for them. They were gone. Little teeny hermit crabs and little teeny shells like that. And I thought to myself, you know, I wonder what it would be like for those little crabs. You know, they've been in this little cage for so long. You know where I'm going with this, right? And then suddenly, they're out in this big, huge world that they didn't know existed. And they are absolutely lost. And they're trying to figure out how to survive with this, in this big, expanded universe we're living in. And I thought about that. I thought about that in relation to some of the things that have been said this morning about my own experience of waking up to recognizing that my little cage I was living in of Methodism and Christianity was just one little hoop. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what that experience was like for me, I was raised in Hendersonville in a WASP community. You all know what that is, right? WASP. There was just nothing but WASP. I knew WASP. They lived next door to me across the street. My best friends were all WASP together. And I never remember hearing in Sunday school and church all the years I was raised here about other religions. So in my mind, growing up as a child, well, you know, the whole world is Christian. I mean, you just assume that. I mean, you don't. Nobody asks you that. You just take it for granted. Well, everybody's a Christian. And the other thing that I thought growing up too was that the older you get, in this was in the community I was in, church community, the older you get, the more loving you get. That didn't pan out. So anyway, I had never heard about Buddhism, or Derek was telling me about teaching his philosophy class to students and saying, what other religions are there beside Christianity? And they'd go, he'd go, is Islam? Oh yeah, Islam. Hinduism. Teaching his students that, you know, Christianity is just sort of one little way of seeing life and living in the world. And I value, you've heard me say before, I value the teachings of Jesus. I think if we could all live by the teachings of Jesus, there would be harmony, peace, and love. 2,000 years of Christian teaching, and we're still killing each other. Christians killing each other. So I mean, it makes you wonder. But anyway, I went into ministry, and I was serving a church in West Asheville, Trinity United Methodist Church, as assistant minister and youth pastor. And I was struggling with my faith, and no one knew this but my wife. She knew that I was just having deep struggles with my faith and representing something that I really in part didn't believe in. And it's very, you feel hypocritical. You know, to be honest with you, you just feel like a hypocrite. You're saying things you really don't believe. You're reciting creeds and you're in the back of your mind, I don't believe this creed. But you're doing it, you know, because you've got a job. I hate to put it that way, but that's the way it was. But anyway, 1984, I'm in the living room watching PBS on television, and lo and behold, what comes on? The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell. And it absolutely blew me away. And has anybody ever seen it? Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell. So I watched it. It was all over my head. I couldn't understand any of it. I just picked up bits and pieces that, my gosh, this world we're living in is huge, you know. It's expanding. So my consciousness was expanding, but I didn't have any place to put it until I saw that film. And then I realized, you know, I could put my consciousness, wrap my consciousness around what he was talking about. Campbell was talking about the power of myth, but more so than the power of myth was his comparing religions. And it was one of the first times that I really started learning about Hinduism and Buddhism and Shintoism and the different religions. And it was a very disturbing time for me. And that really, in one sense, didn't help because it just made it harder for me. So So anyway, I ordered the films, the VHS, the big old box things, and I watched them over and over and over and over and over until I started to kind of get it, but it was this, just this expansion of consciousness, realizing that, this little hoop, I've been in this little hoop, and there are other hoops, and I wanted to learn about them and know about them. I don't need to tell you all this because I'd be preaching to the choir, but in a way, we're living in a global world now, there's no doubt about it. We can't afford to lock ourselves in our little silos and our little crab cages anymore. We've got to open up. And it seems like to me that a lot of our so-called leaders today are trying so hard to build this nationalism to keep us locked into this nation and building these nations, or either in some cases want to expand our nation to go over and take this country and make our nation bigger. So there's this consciousness of this nation. We're just these little nations, but we're in a global community. And to me, COVID is a stark reminder, because COVID was universal, it was all over the globe. And the other stark reminder, you all know this, is global warming. We're all heating up the planet. So there's this need, to me, this drastic need for a global consciousness. So wake up to, this is a big universe we're living in, and we need to be able to reach out to our neighbors and live in harmony with our neighbors, whether they're Islamic or Jewish or Christian or whatever. And to do that, sometimes I think it helps to learn from those religions. I tried to find out when Unitarian Universalism and the association opened up to world religions. And the best I could find was 1890, when Unitarian or Universalist decided that they would open up to non-Christians, to non-theists, and get this, even atheists. So they open up to, they're going to open their doors to non-theists and atheists. That was 1890. But I couldn't, I think what happened is it kind of grew in increments, that Unitarian Universalism, which has its foundation in Christianity, deep roots in Christianity, slowly opened up and expanded its consciousness and inclusion to include all world religions. Now, one of my first questions when I became a Unitarian Universalist was, well, how do these people worship together? And I remember singing Christmas songs with an atheist, and I looked at him and said, how can you sing Christmas carol? He said, I love them. But I kept thinking, well, how is this possible? Well, it's possible because of, to me, of the human heart. It's possible because the human heart has awakened and opened up. And I don't mean that to say that we Unitarian Universalists, we have a monopoly on openness. We are a religion of the 21st century, not the religion, because we don't need to get arrogant about it, and we don't need to be bigoted about it. Unless you're a Unitarian Universalist, you're not. We don't need to go there. We need to realize the tremendous responsibility we have as Unitarian Universalists to bring the religion of the 21st century to the world around us. Now, we're not big in evangelism. We don't evangelize. We just don't do it. So people tend not to hear that we are here. But when I was in Brevard, most of the people who knew people who came through word of mouth. Somebody would tell them about you and they would be here. I think probably some of our visitors are here because they heard about us that way. But anyway, we have a responsibility. We are a religion of the 21st century, and we need to open up to the world we're living in. Now, that source reads wisdom from the world's religions. Oh, it's up there, you can see it, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. So as Unitarian Universalists, we're open to whatever inspires us that may come from Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever religion, maybe even an old religion like Egyptian or whatever. We're open to whatever may inspires us. That word inspire, of course, means in spirit, spirit put into you, inspire. You're inspired by those religions. I want to talk for a moment about wisdom, though, because that's a big word, wisdom. That's a big word. It's a loaded word. And the question is, what does it mean? In the book of Job, Job says, where can I find it? Who has it? I'll spend a few moments on it. Had that image up there?
Yeah.
You all know that? You all know that woman? Anybody know that woman?
Yeah.
Who is she? Huh? What's her name?
Sophia.
Sophia. Amen, sisters and brothers. Sophia. Wisdom. And that's where we get the word theosophy. Love of Sophia. Love of wisdom. There she is. So wisdom was considered, even in biblical terms, as feminine. A feminine principle. Which links Sophia to the mother, the ancient mother goddesses that reigned supreme on this planet for ages and ages and ages. And I won't get into this too much until the father gods came along, the conquering gods. Yahweh in the Old Testament is a warrior God. Exodus chapter 12, if you don't believe me, you can read it. Yahweh is a warrior God. So long before the conquering father gods came along, you had ages and ages and ages and centuries of one mother who reigned over all of life. And so we call her Mother Nature. So just keep that in mind as we think about wisdom. Wisdom is feminine. Now, I've been thinking probably too much about wisdom. I've had too much time to think. I've had 3 weeks, so that's not good. Too much time to think about something, get too analytical about it. So I'm going to try to avoid all that analysis of what wisdom is. And just say that this, wisdom to me comes from an experience that is painful. Wisdom comes out of suffering. And it can be any variety of suffering. It doesn't have to be physical suffering. It can be mental suffering, emotional suffering. Experience is born, wisdom is born from experience of suffering. But I would add, it took me a while to realize this. It's a suffering experience that's guided. It's guided by insight and reflection. And that insight and reflection on suffering and wisdom can come from ancient people, from the world's religions, or it can come from within our own selves. I believe that every human has the insight to guide them through life. It's in their heart. And so again, in my opinion, wisdom, from what I could gather, wisdom comes from some kind of suffering experience, painful experience, but it's an experience that's guided. Because, I think all suffering doesn't lead to wisdom. And I was remembering, Mark Twain, when he and his wife Libby, they were devout Christians. She was more Christian than he was. And she got him to stop smoking cigars and drinking alcohol. And he didn't like that. But anyway, their 7-year-old son died. Was he 7? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. He may have been 3. 3-year-old son died. And they blamed God. And Libby got particularly bitter and resentful. toward God and stopped believing in God. And so, you know, I think to myself that, you know, we all experience suffering and pain, but if we're not careful and we're not guided, we can become so bitter and resentful and soured by life. You know, and to me, the difference between, you know, wisdom and knowledge, wisdom and intelligence, is that wisdom is the difference between, it's like the difference between reading a book about climbing a mountain and climbing the mountain, right? So we can have all this head knowledge, but until we have that experience and we seek guidance in that experience from those who've been before us, then that suffering becomes wisdom. Become wise. You know, I went to seminary and took courses in grief counseling and how to counsel people grieving. I did a whole semester at a hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, as a hospital chaplain. I did all that. I served almost 20 years in the United Methodist Church, ministering to people's suffering and grief. But nothing prepared me for the death of my daughter. Nothing. And I'm still reeling from that experience. I'm still lost in many ways and still trying to find myself in this world because of that experience. And I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I wouldn't say that you have to lose someone precious to you before you kind of wake up and experience them. You know, the Buddha said life is suffering. And I believe that when Buddha said life is suffering, he meant that from a biological point of view, not a spiritual or ethical point of view. I think he meant it biologically. Because life is suffering, because life is growth, and growth is painful. Growth is painful. Whether it's physical growth, growing out of a pair of tight shoes that hurts, or a spiritual growth, can be painful. It can be disturbing and painful. Now, back to nature. I want to get to nature because if you look at world religions, if you look at all the world's religions, you find certain of those religions that have drawn their lessons from nature. And you even find that in a religion that is closer to home for us, and that's the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, and what's called the books of wisdom. Now, within the Old Testament, there's the Torah, the law, and then over here you got the prophets, but right in the middle you have these books that are called wisdom literature. Proverbs, Psalms, Job, and Ecclesiastes, right in the middle. And the unique thing about that is that if you read those books, particularly Proverbs, where are they getting their wisdom? They're getting it from the observation of nature. Just observing nature. I mean, for example, they say, look at the ants. They don't have they get along fine in their little state. They get along fine, they work, and they do get along fine. And one of my favorites is, now in that book, let me back up a minute. In that book, wisdom is contrasted with folly. So you have your wisdom and your folly. And those two are contrasted. And so some of what you read will say, will give you a bit of wisdom. Some will give you a bit of folly. For example, better to meet a she-bear robbed of her cub than a fool immersed in his folly. Here's one of my favorite ones. The purposes of the mind are deep water, but the Spirit can draw them out. My favorite, when I taught Old Testament at Bavard College for all those years, my favorite proverb was this one, and it's 4:23. Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life. And I'm going to say that again, because that's important, I think. Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life. I love that. Okay, that's enough about Proverbs. There's a whole bunch of Proverbs, but if you've never read that book, you might enjoy reading it for the wisdom that's in it. And I was thinking the other day, too, about how much of the teachings of Jesus were drawn from nature. Consider the lily. Anybody who was not awake is awake now. Consider the lily. Have you ever considered a lily? You know, in one of Buddha's famous sermons, I want to get this right, so let me find it. He doesn't say a thing. Buddha doesn't say a thing. He just holds the flower up. He just holds the flower. It's a wordless sermon. And I compare it to, Jesus saying, consider the lily. Consider the flower. This product of nature, consider it. Think about it. And he doesn't say anything, he just holds it up. And there's only one member of the congregation who smiles at the Buddha in recognition, saying, I know what you're saying. Now, you can probably speculate on what he might have been saying by holding up a flower. But my guess is this, that your purpose in life is to bloom like a flower. Your purpose in life is to grow and to strive for that blossom. That's what Buddha means. It means to blossom, to open up, to, I love that saying, bloom where you're planted. And it's all in that flower, and it's all in what nature is telling us all the time. It's all around us, and all we have to do is learn to read it, Isaac Newton said nature's like an open book. So to me, that wisdom that's grounded in the sayings of the world religions, but also rooted in nature, comes out of nature. Again, back to Jesus, look at the birds of the air. When somebody asked him what the Spirit was, he said, well, it's like the wind. Look at the wind. So, look at the wind. What does the wind do? It blows. Well, I can grab this tree and shake it as much as I want to, and it won't move a bit. But something invisible that I can't see can come along and just rock that tree everywhere. Consider the wind when you think of the Spirit. I love this quote from Jesus when he's going to Jerusalem, and he says, they say, what are you going to Jerusalem for? And he says, he says, like a mother. He says, like a mother that gathers her hens and protects them under her wings. He's using that symbol from nature, It's like a mother hen, She gathers her. I always thought it was interesting that in the Methodist Church in Hendersonville, where I served for a while, what time is it?
11:33.
Oh my God. All right. I'm going to wrap it up, yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop right after this, I promise. My favorite world religion is, of course, Taoism. And Taoism is all about following the way of nature, the Tao symbol, the yin and yang, the generative forces of all of life, the yin and yang. It's not the white against the black. It's the two in harmony living in circle. Okay, that's enough. I'm sorry, I went over. I thought I didn't have enough. I had too much. Okay, what are we doing now?
Sing.
We're going to sing, yeah.
are the sea. I sail in you. You sail in me. Oh, we are sailing in waters built by many hands. We are sailing on, it touches every land. So must have heart, oh, so must have heart. You're a Vega and tea, you're a Vegas and me. We are the cold, we are the sea. I sail in you.
Let's see, our closing words are coming up. Chalice. We extinguish the flame of this chalice. Let us follow the light and truth until we meet again. Thank you all. Have a wonderful Labor holiday or whatever. And we'll see you 2 weeks from now. And remember, there are refreshments over there if you'd like to stay and join us for that. Thank you.